friends, good morning, or no, good afternoon. Good afternoon, happy Thursday. Welcome back to Miss Cassidy Creates. I am Miss Cassidy. Let's go ahead and get our video up and rolling on here so I can see all of your wonderful comments and questions. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. I hope you're doing something fun, or you're learning something new. Getting geared up. It's almost the weekend. I know everybody now it's summertime, so all of our schedules are maybe a little different, but I hope you're excited for what you've got coming up, and I hope you did something fun today as well. Yesterday we made some delicious no-bake cereal bars, so if you missed that, make sure you head over to our video page and follow along. I know I ate a lot of mine yesterday because they were so yummy. I tried to make sure I ate some vegetables with my dinner too to make up for the fact that I had mostly cereal bars for the rest of the day. All right, our video is just about up and rolling. There it is. Good stuff. All right, friends. So June 22nd, just a couple days ago, was World Rainforest Day. Hello, Julia. Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. So it was World Rainforest Day on June 22nd. World Rainforest Day happened for the first time only a couple years ago in 2017. But it's meant to be a celebration of all of the wonderful things that the rainforest gives us, as well as to raise awareness about what we need to do to help protect the rainforest. Because it's a very important resource to all of us here on planet Earth, and we've got to do our best to take care of it as much as we can. Hello, friends. Hello. Thanks for joining us. I've got Tiffany and Yanni. Hello, friends. Thanks so much for joining us. So rainforests, what do you think rainforests are like? Have you ever heard of them before? Well, if they're called rainforests, they're probably really rainy and they got a lot of trees, huh? Yeah, that's right. So rainforests are lush. That means they're filled with trees and plants and all sorts of greenery and nature. They're very warm and they're very moist. That means it's very hot there and it rains a lot. And even when it's not raining, it just feels real humid and warm. Real, you know when it's a difference between like, oh, it's so hot but it's so dry out, or after it's rained and it's so thick, or right before a thunderstorm even, when the air feels like you can cut it. That's a lot like what a rainforest feels like. There are rainforests in Africa, Asia, Australia, Central, and South America. And I've got a little map here to show you. So the darker yellow colors are just regular old environments, and that lighter yellow that you see here and here and here, those are all rainforests. Oh, Julia, you love rainforests? I'm so excited that you're here for this today then. That's great. Maybe you know something about rainforests you can share with us in the chat. If I say something and you know something else about it, tell us. Share your knowledge. The biggest rainforest is the Amazon rainforest. That's this one right here. It's in South America. It's about the size of the entire United States, not including Alaska and Hawaii. So look at that. Look at the size of that rainforest and that light yellow right there, and then look at the whole United States. That's how big the Amazon rainforest is. It's mostly in the country of Brazil, but it also goes through 9 different countries in South America. So it's pretty gigundous. It's a pretty big rainforest. The second largest rainforest is in the Congo in Africa. So Africa, remember we talked about Egypt earlier this week. That is also, which is so interesting to think about, friends. So we talked about Egypt, and I think I even still have a picture laying around from Egypt, and how Egypt is a desert and it's dry. Remember this? But if we go to the rainforest in the Congo in Africa, right around there, it's the same continent, but it's a totally different environment. That's because the continent of Africa is so massive that you can have a bunch of different diverse kinds of terrain and lands there. Hello, Wisconsin. You got 3 crazy boys? Sounds fun. Well, we're going to learn about all sorts of crazy things in the Amazon rainforest. Julia, you watched a video about the rainforest? That's so awesome. So most rainforests are along the equator. That's why we are talking about the equator goes around the center of the earth, and it's where the whole world is the warmest that it can possibly be. So that's why when we look at Africa, and I'm going to remind you by showing you our map of Africa from earlier this week, We have Egypt up here, but the Congo is down here. So they're closer to the equator in the Congo, which is why they have the rainforest there, and it's the second largest in the whole world. And like I said, most rainforests are along the equator. However, there are some that are in more temperate areas. There's actually one in the Pacific Northwest in Olympic National Park that is a rainforest that is in a totally different area of the world, but it's its own special temperate rainforests. So obviously rainforests are super rainy. That's part of their deal. There are so many different trees and plants in the forest that they release water into the air. They can release up to 200 gallons of water a day. So imagine a gallon of milk. Now imagine 200 of those filled with water coming out of plants and trees. It's a ton of water. And then when the water evaporates into the air, it forms thick, dense clouds up over the trees, and eventually it rains back down in a nice, sensible water cycle. So the water starts in the leaves and in the trees, goes up into the air, and then comes all the way back down. That's why it's so moist and so wet in the rainforest. Some places can have up to an inch of rainfall every day, which is a ton of rainfall, guys. I know that's a crazy thing to think about. It's hard to imagine what does an inch of rain look like, because when rain falls, it kind of disperses out. But that's a lot of rain. And that's very important because that's what keeps the ecological systems, the ecosystems, running in the rainforest. There also means that there are many rivers involved in the Amazon or in the rainforest. The most famous one you've probably heard of, the Amazon River. There's so much water that there are rivers that go all the way through, and that affects the ecosystem as well. The rainforest has 4 different layers, and I'm going to draw this to help us understand it. So I'm not the best artist. We've talked about that, but I'm going to do my best job here. And as always, it doesn't matter if you're great at something. All that matters is you do your best. And you have fun doing it, and you learn something while you're doing it. So the top layer, the highest layer of the rainforest is the emergence layer. So I've got my tallest tree going on here. That's the emergent layer, because that's the layer that is the closest to the sun. It gets the most sunlight up there. Right underneath that is the canopy, and the canopy is where most of the creatures in the rainforest live, because the canopy has all of those same wonderful leaves that happen on top of those trees, but they also have tons of vines that go from tree to tree connecting it. So we've got our canopy there. That's where so many animals live, because they're a little bit protected from the sun, but they're also lifted off the ground. The canopy layer could be 100 feet off the ground, and that's still where some of the animals are going to live primarily. Then you're going to have the understory, which comes right underneath the canopy, and that's going to be a lot more small trees and bushes and shrubbery. So you've got that right there, the next smallest layer. And then at the bottom, you have the forest floor. And the forest floor doesn't get a lot of sunlight. So anything that grows down there tends to be more like mushrooms or fungi or some kind of plant that doesn't need a whole lot of sunlight. But it does get a ton of water. So again, remember my drawings aren't that great. Look at my little dinky mushrooms I got there. How silly are those? So you've got your emergent layer up top, your canopy right below it with all of the vines that the animals use to swing from tree to tree. The understory, which is a little bit lower, and then the forest floor. The forest floor is very important because that's where all of the decomposition occurs. Have you ever heard of decomposition? It's a super big word, but it's really not that crazy. Decomposition is what happens to any living thing after it dies. So a plant or an animal, when it starts to break apart. If you've ever gone in your garbage and you see like the apple you ate yesterday is getting all brown and gross and falling apart, that's it decomposing. And the forest floor is where all of those plants and animals land when they die to decompose. Then all of those nutrients from their body, there's all sorts of good stuff in there, seep into the dirt and end up growing back into the plants. So that when the plants grow big and strong, the animals, flinging my markers all over, The animals will go ahead and eat it, and they'll continue to grow. The plants will grow big and strong, and it's all part of that great big circle of life. Once you decompose, you get to help make other things nice and strong. More than half of the world's animals live in the rainforest, which is crazy when you think about the fact that the rainforest only covers 6%. 6% of the entire earth. That's not a lot. And it houses over half of the animals and plant species of the world. Creatures that can jump and fly and glide are going to be the animals that like to live in the canopy. So think about monkeys, all sorts of different monkeys, orangutans, chimpanzees, lemurs, all sorts of monkeys. Birds, sloths. Oh my gosh, I love sloths. They move so slowly. Frogs and insects will hang up out in the canopy. There's also something called air plants. And those are plants that grow entirely up in that canopy. And they manage to grow off of nothing but sunlight, the nutrients in the air around them, and the water that falls onto their leaves. They don't need any dirt below them. They just grow up in the air. Larger land animals are going to hang out on the forest floor. So obviously our friends like elephants aren't hanging out in a canopy. They are having a party every day. Isn't that the truth? All those animals having a good old time. The elephants obviously aren't going to hang out in the canopy. They're too big. But things like jaguars or tigers. Wow, my yins are... For those of you that are from Pittsburgh, you just heard me struggle with my ability to say the word jaguar. It's very difficult. That's a hard word for us Pittsburghers. And tigers will get to climb up into the trees, but they also prowl around on the forest floor. Hi, Amy. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, friends. Many species in the rainforest, including insects and fungi, we haven't even discovered them yet. Scientists haven't found them and given them names yet. That's how many things live in the rainforest. It's a whole lot, guys. Every year we find new mammals, new birds, new frogs, new reptiles, all sorts of things. And I bet there's stuff in the rainforest we don't even know about yet. Buried deep, deep in there, just like when we talked about the ocean. There's stuff so deep in the ocean that we haven't gotten to learn about it yet. Same thing's true about rainforests. So maybe if you're super interested in rainforests, you get to grow up and learn about them some more, and you can go and find some of the cool stuff that we haven't discovered in there yet. There are even some migratory birds that hang out in the rainforest during the winter. There might be some songbirds that hang out in your hometown in the United States during the summer that when it's wintertime, they fly over to the Amazon for a nice little vacation, which is pretty cool if you ask me. There aren't just animals in the rainforest. There are also indigenous people, because of course there are. There have been people living in the rainforest for thousands of years. These tribes have lived off of the rainforest environment to create their food, their shelter, their medicine, their culture, all sorts of things. Unfortunately, as we learn more and more about the rainforest, and as the world grows larger and larger, people start taking advantage of the rainforest through things like deforestation, where they cut down trees, or through using any of the resources too often, or just encroaching too much, because these are big natural forests that are meant to be able to live and spread out. But as modern society gets closer and closer and starts using more and more of those resources, it pushes out indigenous tribes and people who have lived there for thousands of years. They might travel now out to some of the cities that are around the areas now and are more a part of modern life. But we have to be really careful because these people know some amazing things about this rainforest. They know more about it than a lot of scientists because they've lived in it. And generation after generation after generation has learned more about every part of the rainforest. You can see hummingbirds where you live, Julia. That's pretty cool. I don't know if hummingbirds are migratory birds. I'm not sure if they travel south for the winter, so they might not be some that head down to the rainforest, but maybe they are. I'll have to look that up after here. That's a new thing I can learn. I didn't know if hummingbirds were migratory or not. The rainforests are super important to people all over the world, not just the people that live in them. They actually act as the Earth's lungs. You know, your lungs that sit in your body and they help you breathe? The rainforest is the lungs for the whole Earth. It helps to create oxygen, and we all need oxygen to survive. So it's pretty important that we take care of the rainforest so they can keep helping us breathe. You live in a temperate rainforest, it's cold, but that's That's so cool. I would love to hear about what kind of rainforest things you see. Do you have any special animals that you get to see? Do you see any special plants? That's so neat that you get to live in a rainforest. I want to hear more about that. So the rainforest acts as the Earth's lungs, and it helps provide all of us oxygen. It also is a huge part of the medicine that we create. We find a bunch of different ingredients to create medicines that are used all over the world to treat people who are suffering from different diseases. We actually can estimate that about 25% of all ingredients in medicine today come from the rainforest. That's a lot, guys. 25%. You know, when we're doing our fractions and we're baking, that means 1 out of every 4 ingredients in medicine comes from the rainforest. We got to protect that. That's important. Our rainforest is the largest intact temperate rainforest. It's called Tongass. I can't wait to learn more about that, guys. That sounds so cool. I can't wait. I'm going to learn so much more about that after we're done. There may even be a cure for cancer waiting in the rainforest for us. So it's super important we keep encouraging scientists to explore it, that when you guys grow big and strong and smart, maybe you become a scientist and you can help explore the rainforest. But it's also, we have to work now because, like I said, there's a lot of things that are threatening the rainforest today. Around 40%, that's almost half of the rainforest, has been lost to people cutting down trees, to people taking other materials, because we can use certain materials out of the rainforest to build parts of our computers and our cell phones. Oh, Corona. Maybe the rainforest holds the secret to curing COVID. This is why we got to protect it. It's super important. But people can take advantage of the resources. We use the trees in the rainforest to make paper that we use in packaging, that we use in the paper we buy, that we use in all sorts of different things. We also use those materials, like I said, to help build our computers and our cell phones. We have to do a lot to try to protect it. There's a lot of very smart people who are working hard right now to help protect the rainforest. So I don't want you to worry. There's a lot of people that are on the job. But we've still got to do whatever we can, right? We got to help as much as we can. And like I said, maybe when you grow up big and smart, you can go to the rainforest and help out as a scientist. But for right now, there are a couple of things that you can do at home to do your part to protect the rainforest. You can ask your parents to make sure that any of the foods that they buy, particularly things that come from rainforests like bananas and coffee, are being bought from companies that use sustainable farming measures. So we know that they're not just taking down all those banana trees so that we can have all our banana splits and not leaving anything for the monkeys to climb around in. So you want to think about trying to buy sustainably. You want to learn as much about the rainforest as you can, because knowledge is power, guys. The more we know, the more we care, and the more we can do to help save it. So whether that means you learn some on your own, or you ask your teacher at school to teach a little bit more about the rainforest, or you take it on yourself to teach your friends about the rainforest. Education is a huge, important way to make sure that we continue fighting for our planet, and especially the rainforest. You can have a garage sale or a lemonade stand or a bake sale, and whatever money you make, you can donate to organizations that are working to save the rainforest. I actually have a tag to the National Geographic Kids in this post, and they have a lot of great resources for different organizations you could donate to if you'd like, as well as a bunch of just cool videos and all around awesome stuff about the rainforest. So check that out. And then I just saw someone else said it, last but certainly not least, recycle. Do your best to use less paper. Maybe use the back of the paper when you're done coloring on it, or cut it into smaller pieces so that you can use it for a notepad. Buy recycled and sustainable paper, and ask your schools to try to buy environmentally friendly paper. We go through so much paper, I myself included. It's something I've got to work on too. So we got to be smart about how much paper we consume, because a lot of that is coming from the rainforest. So like I said, I tagged National Geographic Kids so that you can go ahead and check out their stuff. And please learn more about the rainforest. You know I always want to encourage you to leave here and keep learning more exciting stuff. All right, friends, so for our craft, we are going to make a rain stick. So you need a cardboard paper tube. A paper towel one is better because it's longer. You need some aluminum foil. You need some parchment paper or wax paper. You need some rice. or popcorn kernels, and you need some rubber bands, and then some markers to decorate. So what we're gonna do, or markers can be any coloring tool that you particularly like. If you like colored pencils more, you go ahead and use colored pencils. It's whatever you like to do. All right, so with our rain tube, we are gonna create something that makes it sound like it's raining inside. So I'm gonna build mine first, and then if we have time, we'll decorate it. But you can decorate it on your own when you're done. So what we wanna do is we're gonna take a sheet of aluminum foil. I'm gonna pull out about that much. It's about the width of my shoulders. I'm gonna rip that off, and then I'm gonna scrunch it up into a long piece. Scrunch, scrunch. So we've got a nice long aluminum foil piece going here. And I'm gonna compact it down. I'm gonna push it down so that it's not too thick. Then you're gonna twist it, and you can do this either just on your own, or like see how you can just twist it on your own, but that can be a little difficult, or you can take a pencil or a marker, whatever you've got, and you wanna wrap it around that so that you end up with this nice little swirl of your aluminum foil here. Get that marker out if I can. It's stuck. Oh my goodness, there we go. So let's see, where'd my tube go? I wanna see. I might need one more little, oh, hey baby boy, what's up buddy? So we're gonna see it's a little bit short, so I might add a little bit more, just to the top. I'm gonna do the same thing, I'm gonna scrunch it up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of attach it to that top part there, and then do the same thing where I'm gonna wrap it around my marker. And here we've got a nice, oh, my marker just came undone in there. We've got a nice little swirl. That's gonna end up going inside our tube. But first, we wanna make sure it doesn't fall out. So you're gonna take that parchment paper or that wax paper. You're gonna fold it into a square. See, I just folded, I took a little rectangle piece, and all you're really looking for is you need enough to cover the end of your tube. So you can fold that as many times as you want, as long as it can still cover your tube in a nice little square. So I'm gonna fold that, gonna fold that down around, and it's gonna take a little bit of maneuvering because it's paper, we gotta crinkle it up a little bit, and actually, I think I need mine to be a little bit bigger to make it easier, so I'm gonna reopen mine. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a little bit easier. So you can play around and decide what works better for you. Do you wanna fold it 4 times? Do you only wanna fold it 2? And then you're gonna wrap it around the top of your tube and use your rubber bands. Can you use tape? Yes, you can always use tape. You know how I love duct tape. That's why I have it on hand, just in case. You can totally use tape. I would suggest if you're gonna use tape, maybe trim off this part because that's gonna make it a little harder to tape around it, and I'm gonna do that anyway because when I decorate mine, I wanna have a lot of room to decorate. All right, so now we've got the top attached with either tape or rubber bands. This is wax paper or parchment paper, whichever you've got. Then we're gonna take this, our little tin foil guy, and we're gonna drop him down and just push him right inside there. Just like that. Now we've got to be careful. This is going to take a little bit of precision. We're going to take that rice, or we're going to take those popcorn kernels. You're going to go ahead and put them into your rain stick. I'm going to see in a second here. Let me see if I can manage. You can make a funnel out of paper. So let's see if Miss Cassidy remembers how to do this. So I'm going to take a piece of paper and I'm going to put it sideways. And I'm going to just start rolling a corner so that I end up with a pretty tall little funnel there. I could even cut my paper in half to make it a little more manageable. And roll that corner in. And you end up with a little funnels. That might help us here. Let's try that. There we go. And you're going to fill it till it's about halfway full. So you can shake it to kind of here, maybe a little less than halfway. Save the paper, you're absolutely right, because this is perfectly good paper. I can draw all over this. I can write, you should see the number of notes Miss Cassidy keeps around her so that I don't go crazy and I remember all the things I need to do. You can always use paper. Plus, we do so many cool crafting things, and if we have time here, which we may not, I'll show you a little thing we can do with this excess paper. So now you're going to go ahead and take that parchment or that wax paper again, and you are going to do that same thing you did on the bottom. You are going to fold it to cover the top. And you want to be careful when you're doing this, because if you knock it over this time, your rice or your popcorn kernels are going to go everywhere. So you want to be very careful when you do this. And you're going to repeat the same thing. You're just going to tape it off, or you're going to put your rubber band around it. Once it's on there tight, you can flip it over. And you can hear the rain coming down. If you want to get really crazy, you can make a nice long one by using wrapping paper tubes, like what you use to wrap presents, or even duct taping two of these paper towel tubes onto another. And just like that, you flip it back and forth, and you can play with different fillings. Does a rice make different noise than the popcorn kernels? How does it change if you use wax paper instead of parchment paper, or aluminum foil instead of any of these? Yeah, I wish it was a little bit longer, but it's still pretty cool. And then you can decorate out the side however you want. Now let's see. We only got a couple minutes, but I think I can show you a real quick little task we can do with some of this extra paper we have. We are going to make ourselves a bird by using this extra paper. Even add a little sand. Yeah, absolutely. Sand could work. You could add a couple different things in one rain stick, and it will create a really textured, interesting sound. So I've got these two extra pieces of paper. We're going to draw a bunch of different shapes. And once we've drawn those shapes, we're going to cut them out, and we're going to put them together like a bird. So the first shape we're going to draw is kind of a potato shape. So when I say potato, I mean an oval, but an oval that has a little bit, or maybe a potato isn't the right word, maybe a peanut shape. Think about a peanut or an oval, something like that. There you go, and you can use colored paper if you want, like I am, or you can do this on white paper and you can color it in yourself. So let's start with Mr. Peanut. Then you're going to draw two feather shapes. So basically like ovals, but with a little point on the end. Just two little ones. So you got a peanut or a potato and two wing shapes. Next, I'm going to take another color because we're going to shake it up a bit. And I'm going to draw the little feet of my bird. So the way I'm drawing these is this little shape. Kind of looks like the mushrooms we drew earlier. Just going the other way. So you've got feet there. You're going to want to do one more kind of feather shape, but you can make this one a little bit thicker because this one's going to end up being our beak. And you can color this in some kind of fun, festive way. But we're just going to start with doing the shapes so then we can put it all together. So you've got, so far, a peanut, two feathers, two little feet, a beak in the form of a big oval, and then you're going to draw one little circle, and one big tail feather. So for the tail feather, it kind of looks like our feet, but just longer and bigger. So you see that? It's like one big foot. There you go. Like a thin lemon. Yes, what a good example. Like a thin lemon. So we've got our peanut, two feathers, two little feet, one big foot, aka tail feather, and a beak. That beak might end up being a little big. We'll see. You're going to cut out your shape. So either if you're really good with scissors, go ahead and be careful and do it yourself, or get a grown-up or a big sibling to help you out with the cutting part. And you want to really take your time cutting because you want to be very careful with what you're doing. We might go a couple minutes over our half an hour here, friends. If you got to go, I understand. So I'm just slowly but surely cutting out all of my different shapes. I got my big beak out. Now I'm working on my tail feather. Tail feather out. My little circle. Woo! Gotta be careful with those scissors. Because even if they're safe scissors and they're not going to cut you, it's super easy to cut your paper the way you don't want it to. Cut out our feet. Our little tiny bird feet. And you're going to want tape or glue to put this together. And I know, I'm sorry, I didn't list this. This was kind of a last minute idea that I had that I figured would be pretty easy if you just got some paper laying around. And it's a great thing to use these scraps for, right? All right, almost there. Time to get my two big feathers cut out. These are much easier to cut out than those feet. Cutting out some feathers, singing a song about rainforests and cutting out feathers. All right, and last but not least, our peanut potato shape. So this peanut potato shape is gonna be the body of our bird. So you've got that. Oh yeah, I might have made my beak a little too big. I'm gonna trim down my beak. It looks a little silly. You've got the beak, and let me grab some of my tape here to put it together. And I'm just gonna use my duct tape in our good old fold over method, since we're doing this one a little on the fly here. Whoo! Look how big that beak is on that little guy. What are you trying to get? Baby boy's trying to get my rubber bands, which is not safe. Then we're gonna take our little feathers, and you're gonna put that to the side, to the back side of your bird. You're gonna kind of feather them out, let them have a little bit of a difference there. See, just like that. And like I said, you can do this with Scotch tape, you can do this with our duct tape, folding it the way that we are. You can do it with glue, whatever you've got handy, whatever you like to use. But remember, like we always say when we use glue, a dot is a lot, am I right? All right. Now we've got to put our tail feather on. So I'm going to lift that, I'm going to put that on the back of my little guy. So I'm actually going to put it on the back side. Just a little piece of tape. He's got a tail feather. And then his two little feet, which I lost one of them. Oh, and his eyeball. I can't forget his eyeball. If you have googly eyes, that could be really fun. You can give your bird some googly eyes. And what I like about this project is you can cut out those same shapes. A peanut, 3 total feathers, 2 feet, and a tail feather. And you can make all different kinds of colorful birds. You can decorate it however you want with markers or crayons, or you can just use the color paper that you have. You can make toucans, you can make macaws, you can make parrots. I seem to have lost my little eyeball. Oh, there it is. Need a real little piece of tape for my eyeball. And we are just about there, friends. You can make any kind of colorful bird out of this that you want. And I bet you could even play with making other animals and see what other shapes you can put all together to make an animal. So I'm going to color in this beak a lot of different fun colors. And I suggest you do it too. So there you have it, friends. We learned a lot about the rainforest. We built ourselves a rain stick. Oh, baby boy just licked my toes and scared the heck out of me. We made a bird out of paper. And we learned all about what we can do to help preserve the rainforest. Check out that National Geographic link that I shared. Thanks so much for joining me. If you missed any of our activities from earlier this week, make sure you check them out. We made no-bake cereal bars yesterday, and on Tuesday, oh my goodness, what did we do on Tuesday? How am I already forgetting? We learned about Egypt. That's what we did. We learned about Egypt and we made pyramids. We're going to be off for the weekend. We'll post our schedule on Sunday. There also might be a very special live that happens on Sunday with some fun announcements coming from Miss Cassidy. So be on the lookout for that. I'll announce when we've made that a little bit more solidified. I also shared the survey link on this post. If you haven't already, please check out that survey. Fill in and let me know what you like to see more of. You're also welcome to send me a direct message, comment on any of my posts, but I'm trying to gauge what our favorite Miss Cassidy activities are. So if you have a few minutes and you can click on that link to help me out, I would super appreciate it. Let me know what you like to see so I can do more fun stuff that you guys like doing. Thanks so much for joining me, friends. As always, if you have any pictures of you participating, tag us at Miss Cassidy Creates or send them to me personally. If you send them to the page, they won't be shared publicly, so that'll just be to make my heart happy. I hope you had a good time. I know I sure did. I hope you have a lovely weekend. You keep on being yourself, you keep on learning, and you keep on smiling, okay? All right, see you soon. Woo! Knocking everything over.